All right. Today is Friday the 24th. Finished our show this morning with Playmakers. Had a great time on that. But what wasn't great was the performance of the Minnesota Vikings last night against the Chargers in what is hopefully for the Vikings the final game that Carson Wentz has to start at quarterback, and hopefully they get their O-line back as well, because it would be a lot of fun to get a little bit more production out of that Vikings offense, especially when we got some dangerous targets like Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson right here, who hasn't been doing terrible, considering the O-line that he's been playing with, and of course not having his starting quarterback outside of weeks 1 and 2. So looking like J.J. McCarthy, I think if it really came down to it, he could have played this week, but Kevin O'Connell and the coaching staff, they want to be safe. They want to protect their investment, their top 10 investment. So they're gonna take it slow with him, and I feel like that's only fair. So could have played, but it was a short week. Thursday Night Football, you know how it goes. So I'm expecting McCarthy back next week. And who do the Vikes have next week? Against Detroit, yeah, I do remember they have a really tough stretch of teams. They got Detroit, Baltimore, Chicago, Green Bay, and then Sam Darnold rematch. That'll be a fun one. Then Commanders, Dallas, win here, hopefully. And Detroit, Green Bay. Perks of playing in the NFC North, that's for sure. One of the toughest divisions in football. Probably the best coached division in football. I think that's pretty easy to say, considering you've got Kevin O'Connell with the Vikings, Matt LaFleur with the Packers, Dan Campbell with the Lions, and Ben Johnson with Chicago, who jumped interdivision for his first head coaching gig, going from Detroit to Chicago. But the other Detroit coordinator, that hasn't been doing that great, has been Aaron Glenn, who's 0-7 through his first 7 games as a head coach of the New York Jets, who will be starting Tyrod Taylor this week. If you're really desperate, I know I'm starting Tyrod Taylor this week because I got Jaden Daniels out. So if you're desperate, I feel like he's going to be a fine start. In Superflex, especially if you're starting a quarterback, it's pretty easy to go with. Here's my team, by the way. We're going to come back to this later. But in Dynasty, Superflex, when you're starting 2 quarterbacks in a 12-team league, it's a pretty easy start if you need to. Feel free to go with Tyrod Taylor. I don't think it would hurt you that much. Because with the quarterback position, I mean, especially your second quarterback position, if you got buys and injuries and other things, if you can get a solid 10 to 20 points out of a guy, you can't complain too much. And especially with the depth I'm dealing with right now and other injuries and bye weeks, it's not like I had many other options here. But like I said, we'll come back to that later. First, I want to just take a look at the performers from last night's Thursday Night Football matchup. It was a fun game, but it also wasn't a fun game, me being a Minnesotan. It was fun to see Herbert go out there and be Justin Herbert, be Superman. He's got all the tools to be an MVP quarterback, and it's just going to be about putting it all together. So really impressive game from him. 18 for 25, 277, 3 touchdowns, an interception. Should have been 2, but we're not the zebras out there on the field. Could have been 2. It was very, very close to almost 2, but 7 carries for 62 yards. Pretty impressive. Kamani Vidal, who I believe last week I said I thought was out of Notre Dame. I believe he's out of Temple. Let's fact check that. Not last week. I think I said that Monday or yesterday. I can't remember. Kamani Vidal. Yeah, Troy. No, Troy. Temple. Troy. Whatever. So that was one I was wrong about. Kyron Williams is out of Notre Dame. I don't know how I got those two mixed up. Kamani Vidal had a great game. Of course, with Najee out and Hampton out this week, and Hassan Haskins. So pretty good week from him. Didn't see much out of any of our tight ends, Tyler Conklin or Will Dissly. Looks like Will Dissly was out. So that brings up the point that we kind of touched on Wednesday. Oronde Gadsden Jr. is the real deal. You got to go scoop this guy up if you haven't already. Not even in just Dynasty, in redraft as well. This guy is legit. We're going to run over here. We're going to take a look at the KTC. We're going to look at the not the power rankings, the Dynasty rankings. There we go. We're going to look at the Dynasty rankings for the tight end position. Let's see where Oronde Gadsden is right now. Currently, he is the 154 player overall at the tight end 19 spot. Let's take a look at his dynasty value chart. Went from a less than 2,000 valued player right around rookie draft season. And he's up at 2,216 right now, and he's going to continue to rise as they get more data in this week. So tight end 125 right after the draft or pre-draft, and then the draft and all that, climbing August right around the 30 to 40 range. First start 28, and he's up to 18 today. So pretty good. Pretty impressive what we're seeing from him. Let's see what trades he's been sent out for. We got an A.D. Mitchell and Gadsden. First rounder! Oronde Gadsden is officially being traded for first round picks in Dynasty. As we see Gadsden for a first and a second this morning. Incredible. Tight end premium league. Start 10, 12 teams. But still, this is Dynasty Fantasy Football. 2028 first, 26 second, 27 second, 2 firsts, and Gadsden. But still, we're seeing that this guy is legit. Wow. Look at this one right here. Oronde Gadsden for a first and Colston Loveland, who I guarantee was taking at least 20 picks before in the league that he was traded for this in. Wow. And these are all today. This is all morning after. Morning after his big night on Thursday. But even before, we were seeing some first rounders getting thrown around. Fant in a first for Gadsden. So, really intriguing. And I think that his value is going to be continuing to rise. Yeah, we got the Brashard Smith. I think they were value equivalent just a few days ago. Yeah, still pretty close. But Gadsden, who played, let me just fact check this here. I've got it pulled up right now. A 77% snap share last night. Was targeted 5 times, had 5 receptions for 77 yards and 18.7 fantasy points, making him the tight end 1 for this week. Of course, he's the only tight end. The only tight end he had competition with was TJ Hawkinson, but still, Oronde Gadsden has put up incredible numbers through 3 weeks as the primary go-to tight end. That's his spot, and I don't think he's giving it back. So Oronde Gadsden is a must start from this point out. And if you don't have him, if you can get him, go get him. So let's take a look now. That's kind of the main point I wanted to touch on was his incredible performance along with Kamani Vidal, who played great. 19 and 18 respectively. Lad. We know he does that. But before we get there, somebody asked me today, they're like, okay, what about Quentin Johnston? Did he not play last night? No, he played. But like we talked about Wednesday, when there's so many mouths to feed in one offense, of course you're going to have nights where this guy duds, that guy duds. And it just turned out that it was going to be Quentin Johnston's night that he didn't get the call. And I don't know if that was a coverage thing or just the other guys were just wide open and it looked Justin Herbert was getting whatever he wanted. So that's kind of the downside of playing in a stacked offense like that, but don't let that deter you. Quentin Johnston has been playing great in the Chargers offense and for Jim Harbaugh. But at its core, it's a Greg Roman offense, and we know they want to run the ball. So once Amarian Hampton gets back, must start. But until then, Kamani Vidal, feel pretty good with him. So let's take a look at the matchups this week. Falcons, Dolphins. Is this the week? Is this the week that Mike McDaniel gets fired? I mean, too good. Like, this is what I was looking at. My guess was, okay, if I pull this up, it's all going to be, fire, new job. So I don't know if this is the week. If you lose to the 3-3 Falcons, I mean they're good, but they're not great. Michael Penix is a good quarterback. He's not a great quarterback yet. He's still pretty young. I think this could be the week potentially if they drop this one. Ravens, on the other hand, they don't matter until they get Lamar back. Bills, Panthers. This one will be exciting. I believe Andy Dalton will be starting for the Panthers. So that'll be a fun one. Panthers, what a pleasant surprise this year. Jets, Bengals, nothing here. Kind of same thing we talked about. If Flacco's throwing the ball, feel good with Higgins and Chase, and look for more of Chase Brown in the run game as things open back up with the pass game. But Hasn't been fun. Hasn't been great for Aaron Glenn in New York so far. Niners, Texans. I wonder if Brock Purdy is back. Is Brock Purdy playing week 8? Let's find out. Doesn't seem on track to start. Still up in the air as of now. Probably going to be a game time decision, which is fine. And I've also heard that Kevin Stefanski's on the hot seat. I don't like that. I think he's a great coach. Just been dealt a pretty bad hand. I don't know if him and his GM are on the same track. GM had a great year this year drafting, but that Watson contract was not ideal. I don't know if that's the type of guy that Stefanski would have wanted to build an offense around, but he's got a lot of tools right now, and I think that he deserves a little bit longer of a leash. So, Bucs Saints, this will be a fun divisional game. Cowboys Broncos, this will be a fun one as well. Both these teams have been playing really well. I don't think the Cowboys' record is reflective of how good they've been playing. Titans Colts, this will be a blowout. Shouldn't be close, but who knows? Who knows? It could always be interesting. And then we got Packers Steelers. This is going to be really, really, really fun game. I expect this one to be a shootout, even though, I think Aaron Rodgers is going to try to go vintage in this one. Where is it at, by the way, too? That's a great question. I'll figure that out later. But Commanders, Chiefs, no Jaden Daniels. So Ja'Cory Cross-Garrett must start here, and then Chiefs are going to keep doing their thing. They've been playing great. This is the best they've looked. Like, they haven't looked this good in a while, it feels like, even though they've been a perennial Super Bowl team. They look great right now. They're playing the best they've played. They just got Rashee Rice back. They're a much better team than they were last year, which crazy to believe. It's crazy as it sounds, it's true. So here's what I wanted to do last episode, but we kind of ran out of time. I wanted to take a look at my breakdown. So here's what we're currently sitting with. Let's really dive into it. So we've got our quarterbacks. We'll start from the top. We've got our quarterbacks. We've got Jaden Daniels, quarterback 3 in Dynasty overall. Was quarterback 1 for a while, I believe. Let's see, what was his positional rank? QB2, QB1 for a little while during the offseason, kind of flipping back and forth, I'm guessing, with Josh Allen. Let's see who jumped up into that QB3 spot. Lamar, yeah, that makes sense. And Drake May playing great, but yeah, we're gonna see a lot of the guys from that quarterback class in these dynasty rankings for the coming years. But yeah, I got Jaden at the pick 5 in the 2024 draft, which was a steal. I went all out. I traded a lot for picks that year. So I had Marvin Harrison Jr. at the pick 2. Then I went Jaden at 5, Bowers at 6, and then Benson at 12. So Trey Benson, I got the Trey Benson and James Conner stack, as you can see here, 61 and 27. Excited for Trey Benson to get back and really get a shot in this offense, and excited to see what's going to happen with Zach Charbonnet this offseason. So yeah, those are my quarterbacks. I had Lawrence, traded Lawrence in the package that I sent to get Saquon. Traded Jerry Jeudy, a couple picks, Trevor Lawrence for Saquon, Matthew Stafford, and a late 3rd that I used to get my guy Devin Neal out of Kansas. Got to have him on my team. I'm a big Kansas guy. I love the University of Kansas. One of my favorite he is my favorite college football player that I've ever been able to watch, ever been able to be a fan of. So had to get Devin. And then I picked up Ja'Cory Cross-Garrett early in the offseason, which was like my big thing. I've been really advocating for him. So I'm excited to see what he does as he continues to get snaps. You can see he's continuing to rise. He's a top 20 dynasty running back right now. And he's a great running back. He just got dealt a terrible, terrible hand in college. So excited with that. Wide receivers, this is my bread and butter right here. We got, at a time, all 4 of these guys were in the top 10. You can see they've really all kind of dipped recently. But Drake London, Garrett Wilson, Marvin Harrison Jr., A.J. Brown, that's the core. Then we've got reliable Cortland Sutton here. And then here's my home run swing, I say, Travis Hunter. I won the championship last year, and I had the number 9 pick, which I traded for. I traded my pick for that pick. And Egbuka was on the board. Quinshon Judkins was on the board. But I went with Travis Hunter just because I knew, okay, I didn't want to risk it with Judkins and his stuff he was dealing with at the time when we had our rookie draft. And Egbuka, I just wasn't as sure on considering how crowded that room was. But that was a big mistake. I should have gone Egbuka, but I do not regret the Travis Hunter pick. He's the most talented wide receiver in the draft class. It just comes down to opportunity and, of course, him playing the cornerback position as well. So got quite a few rookies here. Noel, Bond, Jalen Lane. Just picked up DK. Can't believe he was a free agent, but he had a great week last week, so we had to do it. And then running pretty thin at the tight end. Pretty young as well. Got my guy Bowers that I took in the 2024 draft. And then Theo Johnson, who's been a great plug-and-play, bye-week injury type guy. And he's done great for me so far this season. So then here's the pick spread. We've got 2 firsts this year, first next year, first in 28, and only a second and third. Okay, so I've got 2 firsts this year, that's it, and then I have all my picks after this year. And I like doing that. I'll trade picks up to 1 year, but I'm not going to go past that because it's fantasy football. You never know what's going to happen. We see career-ending, career-altering injuries taking place so often. So you just never want to put too much of your future on the line for the present when it's that out of your control. So here's the roster for this week that we're starting with. Mahomes. I've been loving having Mahomes. He was my startup draft pick in 2023. Yep. So I took him with pick 8. And for a while I regretted it, but also you're getting a reliable quarterback starter in Superflex where quarterbacks are that valuable. So I've got Mahomes, and he's been playing my number 2 guy to Jaden Daniels. So great core there. I got Brees here. I'll show you the trade details. Traded him and Jacobs in a second for Brees. And Jacobs was great for me last year. I was expecting a little bit of regression this year, and I wanted to get younger. Brees is 24, so and he's getting ready for his second contract, and I think that's where he's really going to be great, is in his second contract. So for a second and Jacobs, I wasn't too worried about it. Drake London here, love this guy. Traded first, McMillan in 4th when the guy was selling, and been really, really happy with him. Very proud of him. A.J. Brown was a mid-season acquire last year. Sent Ramondre right before the Ramondre Stevenson fall off last year. This guy's second rounder back to him. And my second rounder, along with Keenan Allen. And I got to show you the Saquon trade too, the details on this trade. Make sure I don't get anything wrong with it. Stafford, Barkley, 3rd for... Oh, yeah, there's Pacheco in that too. This was my all-in offseason move. I just won the championship, and I'm like, okay, let's go back-to-back. Take the Dynasty pot. That's how our league is formatted. So then I'm starting Merritt this week. Let's see. When did we pick him up? Yep, July 28th, birthday weekend. So we were still locked in then. Garrett Wilson, got him with my second pick in Dynasty. And then Cortland Sutton, who's just been incredible for me. He's going to come along for the ride. It's going to be hard for me to move on with from this guy. 30 years old. It's not like I'm going to get much for him if I tried to move him, if I tried to trade him. And he's just a reliable starter. I mean, of course, he's had a 2 and a 1, but otherwise, look at this. And last year, he was incredible. It was hard. Like, he really did a lot for me in the playoffs. Like, look at these performances. And just down the stretch, just what a great, reliable player in fantasy football. So currently the wide receiver 14 in PPR, 15 finished as last year. Had one top 20 finish before that, but yeah, I love Cortland Sutton, and he's Bo Nix's go-to guy. So this is how the bench is kind of looking. Kendre Miller, sucks that he's out for the year, but he's just had a bad rap. Like, he's never been able to play more than, never been able to play more than 8 games. So his yard per carries has been good. I thought that this would be the year maybe that either this year or last year that he kind of really started to bite into Kamara's snap rate, but he just can't stay on the field. So that guy is going to be this guy right here. Devin Neal is going to be the one who's going to start kind of chipping in, and this is going to be a big week. I'm excited to see what he does in Tampa. So high potential, and he makes those good plays. Makes the plays that matter. We saw with that big block. So that's kind of how the roster is looking right now. That's the lineup that we're throwing out this week. Not much out on the waiver wire right now, but yeah, that's kind of where we're sitting. Feeling pretty good. We're currently 9-5. We play against the median. So league median, if you don't know what that is, it's every week you're playing against the average score. So if you're like top 6, you get an extra win. If you're bottom 6, you get an extra loss. So it kind of helps, like, it always sucks when the top two scoring teams play each other, and it's like the guy who gets second and loses would have been like, okay, you could have beaten every single team this week. It makes it so it's not as luck based. It's if you deserve to be in the playoffs, you're probably going to make the playoffs, even if you got some bad matchups along the way. So that's kind of where we're sitting right now before week 8 of the NFL season. Feeling good, feeling great. It's been fun. And let's have a great weekend. I'm excited to recap it all for you guys on Monday. So thank you for watching.